Right, go and say who you are.
I'm Sarah Cattell. I'm the project officer for Salford Archaeology, and I was in charge of running the excavation on the Reno.
Thank you. You was wonderful at being in charge. Right, this is an evaluation, so I'm just going to ask you 4 questions.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So go in for it. What did you do?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I felt like when they asked me.
Yeah, I suppose I came in not quite at the beginning, because my colleagues Vicky and Adam came in and started it all off, but I suppose I kind of took it forward from there. So I was involved with getting everything for the dig sorted out and running the actual dig and writing the report, even though it's not quite finished yet.
We'll go into more detail because we spent weeks together. I think, planning it,
working out what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, what was possible, trying to work out what the council would stand for and what they'd have.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Looking into whether there was anything there before, doing the evaluation beforehand, actually going and doing a little dig. Then I got involved in getting everything ordered so that what we needed would be in the right places, so doing all the ordering for the materials and the tools and the cabins and all that kind of stuff. Getting all the volunteers, well, not getting all the volunteers, but you know what I mean, getting all that kind of side.
Yeah, getting your side of volunteers, who were great.
Making sure that we had all the risk assessments in place and had all the health and safety stuff that they'd need and all that kind of stuff.
Sarah, how before we did that 3 weeks, how much time do you think we actually spent on it before that?
We must have spent weeks, months.
Months?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you must have spent months and months doing all those funding applications just to start with.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have took ages. And then there was usually any community dig takes 2 or 3 weeks to get set up because it's just the waiting time in between getting quotes and getting orders in and waiting to hear back from people who might want to volunteer and making sure that you've got all the right people on the right days and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, all the planning is what really took the time, I reckon, before the dig, because that's all the stuff that you've got to work out and work through and decide how it's all going to fit together on the actual week, day, whatever.
See, there's all that madness as well. There was all the looking at those aerial photos to make sure that the Reno was even still there because he ploughed up the land to put the
to put pavement in and make it bigger and get the sign up and everything.
Yeah, to put that sign up, that advertising board as well, because it's electric in it.
It is, yeah, but I think they must have run that off the main road because there was so little disturbance on that side, thankfully. Yeah. It's a real relief because that would have been awful.
No, but that was mad that our little bit was all that was that was there. Yeah. But also, when we hit the concrete on the first day, and we thought that was the end of it all.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Because we thought that was the end of everything, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a pillar or they covered it all over with concrete. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
But then, this is what you do before a dig. You always have to have that panic of, there's not going to be anything in there, and then it suddenly is all there and it's all fine. But you have to have the panic first. Yeah. I don't know, it seems to be a rite of passage on every dig you do.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you have something you think, oh, it's not good. Particularly community dig, because you've got to think about, not only is the thing you want to find there, but also is there going to be enough of it to keep all these people who've given up their time or taken time off work or really love it and really want to get involved? Is there going to be enough to keep them interested and happy and busy and keep them going for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever? Yeah. So there's always that panic of, are we going to finish this in a week and everybody's going to be twiddling their thumbs, or is there nothing here, or all these people giving up all this time to do this and then there's nothing for them to do? Panic. But
if that concrete had gone all the way back, that would have been the end of it that day. Yeah. Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I forgot that feeling of that one. Yeah,
that panic. But then, it's always the case with these buildings, because they fill up the cellars, they fill it up with so much rubbish, and you never know what's going to go in it, that we should have stayed positive. Well, we didn't we? Stay positive and go, no, it's all right, this is what happens, it's fine. But yeah, there's always that moment where you think, oh no.
Do you know what changed? I've just remembered. Because we hit the concrete and then Andy jumped in to try something, didn't he, to see what was on that wall. And then it was the angle of the wall that it had to be the end of something.
Yeah.
And we worked out from that it had to be the kitchen, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then we went in further. Yeah.
It was crazy. And just how deep it was. I mean, I knew it was going to be fairly deep, but it was massive. Because that was the other thing that I thought on the first day of, blimey, that this is a long way down. Is this going to be okay? Is all this stuff going to fall in and squish everybody?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all right in the end.
I know that was going to be a fight if you'd have said no. Could you tell?
We wouldn't have.
Yeah, no, we'd have physically fought, Sarah. Yeah.
Because it was a bit scary at first. I was thinking, if we get this full and just a heavy truck goes past or something,
and it starts to come in,
bricks on everyone's head and everything. It was like, oh sugar, don't want that. And then like Fonzo jumping in and out, and I'm like, you're gonna start a landslide. Oh my god, everybody's gonna die. But I think again, it's just one of them things that when you're meant to be kind of like making sure that everybody else is safe. Every little tiny thing. I suppose it's like having a kid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every tiny little thing that happens, you just think, oh no.
Shit, I never thought about it from that perspective.
Yeah, it's weird because you just.
Would you get done? Would you get done for manslaughter?
Yeah.
If you killed the whole of the Reno.
I jumped the Reno and I got rid of everything.
I killed everybody. Yeah, why are you in, Sarah? Why are you the doll of this prison? Well, let me tell you.
Mass murder.
Yeah.
Off
the Reno. Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the things that panicked me because I just thought if and it's not so much the side of thinking that I'd get done for it, but it's just like, oh my god, because I did something, somebody else has got really badly hurt or died or whatever. Yeah. It'd be awful. Oh, I don't like the idea of thinking about it. So yeah, I was a bit twitchy. But then once it was all opened up and we had a proper look at it, it was alright. It was just a case of knowing how enthusiastic everybody was. Yeah. Being able to make sure that everybody got what they wanted out of it and didn't die. That balance. Yeah. Listen, I tell you what, you were great at that, Sarah. Oh, that's good. No, you was great at. I really didn't want to stop people doing what they wanted to do because it's not my. I was running it from the archaeological side of things, but it wasn't my Reno. It was all your Reno, and I didn't want to stop you lot from getting in there and seeing all the bits that you remember and everything. Oh. So it was like, I need to stop them from dying in it. And hurting themselves and doing stuff that could be dangerous, but at the same time, I don't want to stop them being in it because it's theirs, kind of thing. But yeah, I know if you'd have gone round being Sergeant Major, no, exactly, it's not in your nature, which was great. So we worked great, us and you worked great together for that. Yeah. And the other thing is, it's not like having a load of kids on site. You can explain to people and say, look, you can do it, but do be careful. Do this, don't do this. Do it like that and we'll all be okay, kind of thing. And everybody was fine, everybody was great. Some of them got a bit carried away. I mean, when Brian was chucking his bricks over his head, I was like, somebody needs another heart attack. Yeah. But it's just excitement. It's just the desperation to find it and to find what it is and work out what it is. Everybody does it. It's dead common. You just get too excited and you forget about everything else. Just very. When I was looking at photos last night for another reason. Want to see the size of the hole. It was massive, wasn't it? Yeah, the size of the hole and the length of the hole and the size of the crane, the digger things we brought in. Yeah, it's massive. And the size of the spoil heap. Yeah. I mean, what we were walking on at the end that looked like normal ground was a good 1.5 meters above where we started. Yeah. Just crazy. Oh, yeah. 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 What did you learn? Well, I think I learned a lot actually about that kind of looking after people and making sure that you've got that balance. Because previously, when I've done community digs, it's generally the case that the people who come are dead interested and excited, but they're not on the same level as the people at the Reno. They didn't have that kind of vested interest. So I would say, right, we do it this way, this way, this way, and this way. And everybody goes, oh yes, okay, fair enough. Whereas at the Reno, it kind of got me to think a little bit more about, actually, it's not just the way I want it doing. It's the way it needs doing for all of these other people. Whereas previously, like I say, on other community digs, it's like, yeah, there's some stuff that can't be changed. So this is the way we do archaeology, this is the way we do health and safety, this is the way it's going to work. And everybody goes, right. Whereas at the Reno, because everybody was coming in from such different backgrounds, because they didn't know archaeology, they were just going for it. And I didn't want to stop that and stifle it. So I think it helped me learn a bit more about dealing with people. And also just sort of the kind of the archaeological side of things, learning what it's like to dig something that people can remember, which is a totally new experience, really. Most of the places I dig, maybe somebody's granny once went there when she was tiny, and they kind of remember it that way. But I've never ever been in a place where somebody's walked in and gone, oh yeah, I don't really want it there. Or you know, a bag of chips here or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to kind of learn what it feels like to kind of have that archaeology still living, if you know what I mean. So that was really nice. What does
archaeology really mean?
It is the study of people in the past. So,
oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so you get, so anthropology is kind of how people are, and archaeology is kind of how they lived and what they did, kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's sort of, by definition, it's people in the past, so it's really, it shouldn't, usually, like, it's not usually people you can still talk to, which is what made the Reno so different, because you can still talk to the people. But and it's brilliant to be able to stand there and go, where am I standing? And 10 people will go, well, I think you're standing there. This is the gambling room, this is the kitchen, this is that. Yeah. Whereas I have never had that on a site before. I've stood there and gone, well, I think this is where I am, on the plan and based on this, that and the other, but I couldn't say for sure. Whereas there I could go, anybody recognise this? And 20 people would all go, yeah. Yeah. It's just crazy and brilliant. It's just fabulous.
Oh, it does. Wouldn't occur to me, would it, if it's not my job?
Well, I think it's just what you used to as well. You used to, I mean, Vicky and I used to always make a joke when we were writing archaeological reports of, you can write anything because nobody's going to look at it again because it's all been demolished or it's all been done up or it's all been this, that and the other. Whereas with the Reno, not that we do that anyway, just a joke, but whereas with the Reno, it's like, well, no, you can't change it because not only can we see it, but everybody can remember it as well. Yeah. It's not like it's a forgotten thing. It's.
Oh, now. I'm looking forward to seeing the reports now. Actually. Yeah.
Well, they're not going to be the most riveting of reports, but I will try my best. Sometimes they can be a bit
it's about us. It's the end of our thing, isn't it? It's like an official document about us.
Yeah. About what was done. Yeah. And the fact that it's all still there. Yeah. And it's nice as well to know that it is still there. Nobody's taken it away. Yeah. Nobody's dug it up and grubbed it out. It is still there. And it's just nice to kind of know that. Even if you can't go in it, it's nice to know that it's still there.
No, absolutely.
It's really good. But yeah, it's been... Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. It was definitely more of a learning experience about learning about people than learning about archaeology as such.
But it still was looking at people who from the past, because that is so different. The 70s is so different from now, Sarah.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, everything that happens, health and safety, the vibe, everything. Everything is so...
Yeah, and it's the sort of stuff that archaeologists don't look at because you think, well, people can still remember it, so I don't need to do it. Yeah. Whereas actually, best case scenario, people's memories aren't quite right and they forget stuff or they remember things differently, but the fact is, and in a lot of cases with places like the Reno, people don't bother asking because they don't think they need to know, or they don't feel like it's important, or they don't feel like, you know, it's obvious, so why do I need to talk about it, kind of thing, because my granny remembers it or my uncle remembers it or whatever. So people kind of don't feel like it is important, but actually it is, because no matter how many memories you've got, there's nothing going to compare to getting back in that place where everybody was.
That was mental, actually. That was to see that floor was mental. Yeah. That was absolutely proper.
It was proper crazy, wasn't it? Yeah. Especially at the end of that day when it was going dark and that fella from the BBC kept going on and on and on. There's a floor! Yes!
Oh, yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, the dance floor, the corner of the dance floor. That was, you couldn't make that moment up, could you?
It was brilliant,
that was proper.
I was looking back at the drawing that Richard's done of it, because he's done it all on CAD on the computer.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Can I get a copy?
Yeah? It'll be in the report as well.
Yeah.
I'll send you a copy
Will
of it.
dimensions
He's actually coloured the dance floor in red.
Oh, that's it. Oh,
brilliant.
Will that have the measurements in, Sarah, like of the walls, the height of the walls and the length?
It won't have the height. Yeah. Well, it'll sort of have the height in that it'll have, we go off kind of depths above sea level kind of thing. So it'll tell you that sort of stuff. Yeah. And it'll tell you the thickness, because it's all to scale so you can measure off it.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, so you could use that if you wanted to do a scale model. Of
That's what I want. That's what I was thinking, and I was saying that someone will have that. Someone will, because was that what Ollie was doing?
Ollie was just doing the record of the kind of the character of the building, so the type of the bricks and the type of.
Oh, can I have that as well? Yeah.
Well, again, what Ollie was doing was all the stuff, like the gathering the information to put in the report.
Yeah.
So it'll all be in the report. So the report will sort of say what it was built of and what kind of brick and all that kind of stuff. But it'll also go into a little bit of kind of the discussion of the actual place and what it was like and that kind of stuff. But this will be different to any of the other reports that we do, because the discussion can actually be sort of real facts that people can tell you that are still living, whereas usually it's just a case of, well, I think this and I think that.
Yeah, I surmised this.
Yes, exactly. Whereas this is a little bit more definite.
Oh, that's crazy, because that really, that's like saying 1,000 years, and that report exists. That's a true definition of a time, isn't it? Exactly, that's like going back to a medieval time, and medieval people going, actually, we did this.
Is what this was for.
This bottle was for this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's the sort. I always laugh about stuff like that, because it's the kind of things where, you know, the use of an object to us is so obvious because everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
But in 100 years' time,
no, exactly.
Like mobile phones, everybody knows how to use a mobile phone. It's perfectly understandable. It's obvious. Everybody else knows how to do it. But in 100 years' time, people will look back at mobile phones and go, "What the hell is that for?" What people actually had to like hold it in their hand and put it up to their ear, and it would. Certain things about mobile phones now, today, will never occur to somebody in 100 years' time or 200 years' time.
And how many there's been? Go on, sorry.
And it's the same thing with stuff like the Reno. Archaeologists are very good, particularly at kind of these high-minded ideas and the deep-seated ritual meanings of this object or that object. And very rarely do you ever get in an archaeological report, you know, somebody just made this for a laugh, or somebody just did this because they fancied it.
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know, they drank this because it tasted nice, not because it necessarily
saved brought the spirits back,
and
saved the grandma and all that.
Yeah. You just drunk it because it tasted nice, or, you know, they like the bubbles or whatever. So that will be different about the Reno report. Yeah. We'll be able to say, well, actually, you know, there was no good reason for why those green flares were in there. They just were.
Yeah.
Don't try and read anything into it because there was no reason. Somebody took them off and left them behind, kind of thing. So yeah, it's one of them that you can give a bit more definite information on rather than just interpreting what you found.
Do you think do you think what you've done will change how you do things in the future?
I think it'll certainly change the way people look at how you do stuff and what is archaeology in some respects. Because some people just think if it's not Romans or if it's not prehistory, it's not archaeology. How can it be archaeology if there's writing about it or historical documents about it or whatever? So I think, and although people have come around a bit now, I mean, some people still think that industrial archaeology is a bit pointless.
What does that mean?
Well, you know, like the 19th century and the Industrial Revolution and all the factories in Manchester and stuff. And
I think they're great.
Well, exactly, yeah, but you do get some archaeologists who are used to doing work down south where there isn't so much standing buildings, who kind of go, oh yeah, there's no archaeology here because all the 19th century stuff took it out, kind of thing. Like, well, that is the archaeology. And I think it'll probably move that mindset on a bit longer and a bit further and say, well, yeah, all right, maybe your granny can remember it, but it's still archaeology. So I think it'll just make people realise that actually you can do archaeology on the 20th century. It is possible and it is worth doing and it is important. Because what we've done at the Reno is, all right, we've dug up a club, but it's more to do with the fact that in the digging up of that club, we've brought this massive group of people out. We've got them talking to each other that they've not done for years, or we've got them telling stories that they've never told anybody before, or we've got other people in the area realising what kind of stuff they went through.
Yeah.
And so the dig itself was fun and good and everything else, but it's by digging that modern thing, it's had an impact on social life now. So it's just making people, particularly archaeologists, realise that actually, you know, just because you're not digging something that's super, super old doesn't mean it's not worthwhile doing, and doesn't mean you're not going to learn new stuff from it. It goes back to that thing, like I say, of thinking, well, people can remember it, so why do we have to study it? It's like, well, doesn't quite work like that. People can remember it, but by studying it, you're widening it out to more people, and you're getting it to be at the forefront of people's mind who might not necessarily think of it otherwise.
It has a huge emotional impact on me, not just the Reno. When I went to Collier's to get some training, there was a pink Pond's jar.
Yeah.
Do you know, like in the, I don't know, you know when you have an emotional reaction and it's nothing to do with it, saying, oh, that's made me think whatever.
Yeah.
And then I went home and I come back and they cleaned the drains and, you know, made it look like an entry that as I would remember it, with big flags and, you know, the sewer dip and, you know, and all that in it. And it was like, oh my, I don't know what it does to you to send you back to your childhood. Yeah,
but it does. And
it's like a time machine.
With something that you've kind of forgotten you've got.
It does, it does. Yeah. And how it made me feel about my side as well. It connected me to that we had a thriving community.
Yeah.
You know, it was a proper, just thriving my side.
Yeah. And I mean, you can tell from the way the people at the Reno are with each other, just how close everybody is. And even though they might be arguing with each other, they'd never see any harm done to each other, or they'd never let anybody else come and, you know, just mess about with them, kind of thing. So, like I say, that dig is not just the dig, it's that catalyst for all of these other things.
No,
And realising, because I mean, who knows, in 10 years' time, people might look back at the dig at the Reno and say, well, actually, that was really good, let's get it back again, or or after we did that dig and all these things happened, and look what's happened now, and look how much of a thriving community we are again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the actual archaeology bit is kind of the least important.
If you're looking for Roman sites though and things like that, that's different in it. Why? Because what's the difference in the importance of that?
Well, for stuff like Roman stuff and medieval stuff and that kind of thing, it's trying to build a picture of life as it was then.
Oh, okay.
So it's not necessarily going into the small details of exactly why somebody did this, this and this. I mean, it might be in some cases, and you can find that out if you dig specific sorts of places. But it's trying to be able to track a civilization. So, for example, finding Roman sites is important to find out how far the Romans spread and how they got to where they got to and what they were using and what they were, you know, what the army took with them, or how the army built forts will tell you how kind of technologically advanced they were, or it might give you an idea as to how they viewed the world and how they thought about the world. Whereas with something like the Reno, and even digging sort of more industrial period, 19th century type of stuff, we kind of know already, because it's all written down about how the world advanced, how people moved on with technology, how people did this, that and the other. What we don't know from things like the Reno and these other slightly more modern sites is how it impacted individual people.
Yeah.
So, you know, we couldn't say, oh, this Roman villa did this to the servants or whatever. Because, yeah, all right, we can say that on the whole, Romans generally treated their servants in this way, that way, or the other way. But by looking back at more recent examples where we've kind of already covered all that information through the historical documents, we can then concentrate on, well, actually, you know, the servants had these kind of products in these kind of jars, and it would have cost this much, or this servant was a bit richer than that servant because they had posher stuff, or so it's more towards a little bit kind of more personal, if you like, because we don't, with Roman stuff and earlier stuff, we kind of have to start from a completely blank canvas and work it all out as we go along. Whereas, like I say, for more modern stuff, more recent stuff, we've kind of got all that big background history, you know, we know the history of the country. What we can now focus on is that person's history, or that family's history, or whatever, that community's history. So that's what makes it important for the Reno, because that community have never been covered in any kind of literature or documentation, or, you know, they won't appear in a history of Britain.
Yeah.
But collectively, people know about, I don't know, the Mossad riots, for example. That's historical fact that we already know about. So we can then use the stuff from the Reno to say, well, actually, you know, while the riots were going on outside, people were still down the Reno listening to Persian and drinking cherry beer or whatever. You know, the people got on with their lives. People were still living as they would, despite what was happening outside or despite what was happening to them elsewhere. So it's kind of bringing it down, the focus right down onto individuals.
I know, because what's written a lot is like just make believe in it. You know, it's make believe because you haven't got the facts, but also to the temperament of the person who's writing it, isn't it?
Exactly.
You know, as well.
And,
so
and even if it's as unbiased as they could possibly make it, it's still based on their own memories or their own ideas or their own prejudices or
and
thoughts
what books
or
they've read or what's the going thing about that. The going. So that's great. What you've just said. Together,
you've got, I mean, look at the arguments we had as to where we are in Reno.
Yeah.
Although it was hilarious to watch, the fact is that you have then got this pool of people that will all work it out together. And they'll all start from different standpoints at the beginning, but they'll all work it out together and they'll all be able to put their own ideas in to make the whole interpretation and the whole stuff come out and the information that we need. So it's
quite been something, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, people were really interested. Go on.
I don't know of anywhere else, any other archaeology that's gone for something like this. Something so modern and something so kind of culturally relevant to a particular group of people. You know, all right, it might be relevant to a community that all live in one place, but this is relevant to a group of people who were all not only living in one place, but were affected by the same stuff. And the same things were going on with them. So it's totally unique. There's nowhere else like the Reno.
Hey!
Anywhere.
Hey, but that could be like you're saying, that could cause real fabulous studies, couldn't it? You know, of how do you do this in the future and what really was going on. You know, because like everybody goes, oh, the riots. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You know, like that's the only fucking thing we ever did, and we didn't even. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, 2 nights in an entire century. Yeah. But that's what people remember because it was big and it was bad and dreadful things happened. But like I say, nobody thinks about, well, actually, why did people riot and also what was going on before they rioted. You know, they didn't just suddenly go, rah, let's have a riot.
They might have done, Sarah, you don't know. Yeah, go on.
You know, lots of crap was leading up to that. And places like the Reno, like they show you not just that there were nightclubs and stuff and it was full of all the same people, but it was showing you that actually, even though there was all this crap going on, people were still together, they were still in this community, they were still looking after each other and they were still going out and having fun and doing whatever. You know, it was all still happening. It's not just, you can't just characterise a place or a time on one event.
No, it's true, because I used to do this like play reading group with older women, you know, 80s, they were in their 80s. So they used to talk about the war, right, which would not interest me in the slightest until they started talking about the boyfriend who was a GI. No, but you know, and all the, like you're saying, you know, like, or like June talks about like being in the subways and taking your jam butties and, you know, all these different personal things, and it paints this entirely other picture, doesn't it? Yeah. You know, like a human picture, and then I become interested then.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, you know, anybody can tell you about the war or the 80s or the 70s or various different things, but like you say, it's only when you get to hear about how it really made people feel, what people really did to deal with it. That's what makes the difference. And
then that makes you think, you know, that thing about walking in someone else's shoes. Yeah. Because, like, when June's told me things, and I think, oh my God, you come home and your house was blown up. Yeah. How do you come home? All your photos are gone. All your... Do you know what I mean? Because I don't even like to be untidy, so come home, it's just like bricks. Yeah.
But it also kind of gives you a new insight and a new respect for these people and what they went through.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of a new love for it.
Absolutely.
You know, you have a whole new dimension to a person opened up, or a few people, or whatever. I mean, I spent most of my time digging up the Reno, thinking, bloody hell, I wish I was old enough to have been in here. It sounds like a right laugh.
Yeah. Aww.
But it sounded brilliant. It's just that Because the thing is, most people say, oh yeah, human moss side is proper rough and everybody's dead scary and but actually, like I say, digging the Reno, you realise that no, there's a lot more to these people. And maybe some of them were rough, but maybe they were rough for a reason. They weren't all rough, they looked after each other, they did this, they did that. It's given people who don't know human moss side so well that secondary kind of bit of information. It's not just the riots and scary people, it's actually full of really nice people who look after each other and who have a really strong sense of who they are, where they come from, and you know what they should be doing with themselves. And
the other way around as well, Sarah. Like me getting to know you or Margaret Wells or June and just thinking, oh, well, they're not snotty and they're not, do you know, do you know that the stereotypes and your preconceptions that I don't know whether we're fed them or whatever happens, but you know, and then you just think, no, they're just human and they're funny and they get upset and do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you'd either vibe with them or you don't.
Yeah. And you're always unsure about people you don't know who aren't like you.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's one of the brilliant things about archaeology, because that's one of the only places I've ever seen where you can get people who are so completely opposite together next to each other, having a laugh, having a chat, and finding out that actually they're not that different after all.
Absolutely.
But, it's done that brilliantly. Yeah. Brilliantly.
What do you think worked?
I think it was that getting people together. I think it was that. Again, most of the stuff about the Reno, the archaeology was really good, and as an archaeologist, I really enjoyed doing the digging. But what was most interesting for me was watching the people and finding out about the people and getting to meet them all. And I think that really worked. I know there wasn't that many traditional archaeology volunteers that actually came in the end, which I'm still quite cross about, but never mind.
Just say bastards straight into the camera. Go on. Yeah.
I can't do that. I want them back again. Oh. But it was a funny time of year, maybe.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, most archaeology volunteers do still have that idea that archaeology's dead old stuff.
Yeah.
So something from the 70s they might not get. But those that did come, it was brilliant watching them with the other lot, you know, with all the Reno heads, and you're like, they clearly would never have got the chance really to chat to each other, but it was just brilliant when they did, because they were all just having a right old laugh and learning stuff about each other.
Yeah.
And that was really brilliant. That worked really well. And I think the archaeology worked. I mean, it was a really good, sturdy building, which means that when we actually dug it, it was recognisable. Everybody spotted stuff that they could see, like you say, the floor and the dance floor and stuff.
Yeah, and the amount of walls that was still up. Go on.
And it was nice to be able to see how well that worked with jogging people's memories. Even the people that weren't digging, just the people who were walking past, like, oh yeah, I remember that, or remember this, or whatever. And I think that really worked. I think if the archaeology hadn't have been so well preserved, I think we would have struggled to get as many people.
Yeah, if it hadn't been that well defined, because it was completely defined, wasn't it? Like a drawing. Exactly. I'm going to draw you like a shoebox of the. It was. I was so grateful for that and thankful for that, because I know exactly what you mean.
It's just a shame the wood panelling rotted away.
But we've got one good bit.
We've got a bit,
yeah. But that threw everybody for ages, didn't it? Where I don't remember white tiles, and that's because that had rotted off, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, when we found those strips that must have been holding on to the side, we're like, oh, there it is. That's all right.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, thank God. Yeah, we're in the right place.
But yeah, I think those were the main two things that worked. I think it was watching everybody get together, and not just the people who wouldn't normally talk to each other, but like people like Triggy and I forgot his name. That's awesome.
Jeff.
Yeah. Kelly. But you know what I mean? People like that who hadn't talked for years.
Or
people who had just like lost touch with each other. I mean, there was more hugging on that site than I've ever seen on any dig site ever in my life. Brilliant.
Yeah. The hugging was great, wasn't it? It was like every minute.
And the fact that people, I mean, I know it cheesed us off a bit, but like the fact that people turned up at lunchtime just for a chat and a brew and stuff. Eat all the food, but you know.
Yeah, you bastards. My turn to say that. Yeah. No, or it was. I like all of them bits that you're saying. Actually, at the time I was manic. It's got to fucking open. You know, I'm gonna look if it doesn't get open. Do you know what I mean? Like, you better fucking dig. Don't eat them sandwiches, just dig. but no, when I look back, my favourite bits was the time I sat down laughing.
Well, it was just the knowledge that it was really nice for me to know that something that I do as a job and something that sometimes doesn't feel like it has an impact. I used to think to myself, there's doctors out there saving people's lives.
Oh, okay,
and blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
And I'm just digging stuff up because it's fun. But it was so nice to know that actually the job I was doing and the thing that you've all got involved in is something that's actually really giving something back to a community and is really helping a group of people and is really making them feel, even if it's just the tiniest thing of making them feel like they're still in touch with people they've not seen before, or like I say about getting people back together that haven't spoken for years.
Yeah.
It was really nice to feel like actually for a change what I was doing was having an impact, really good impact right there. And it was really nice.
It did. It's made me feel, I feel great about myself.
Yeah.
I really feel great about myself.
Yeah, it was just great.
Yeah, and then all the wonderful things that's come out of it, like the National Lottery Award thing.
Yeah.
And the Whitworth Gallery.
Yeah.
Really amazing things have come out of it.
And it's nice to know that people are starting to see now that actually stuff that was going on in the 70s was not all what you thought and it was not all just life. It was actually some really cool stuff was going on.
And it was just part of the counterculture. If you think of the rest of the 70s, there was hippies, there was David Bowie, there was, everything was changing at that time.
Exactly.
And I think that's why that period is important as well, because when you go into the 80s and then things have not changed that much mentally from that time, but the 70s is a truly different time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, it's not something that you would normally think of until you do something like this.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really different.
Yeah, it was a few months later when I was trying to get the thing together to talk about, and I thought, actually, we was part of an entire global counterculture.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that we was on our own in Reno being hip and smoking a weed, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was going on
all over.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Black Power, Women's Lib,
Yeah.
Black Panthers, Martin Luther King.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All of it was going on at that time.
Obviously the best in the Reno.
It was a great time to be part of.
Yeah.
It was a great time. What do you think could have been done better?
I don't know, really. I mean, it would have been nice if we'd have had more volunteers, and it would have been nice if we'd have had more of like the archaeology volunteers coming down. So probably I could have done better with getting them on board. I thought I'd got them all, but obviously not. I don't know. It's weird because it kind of feels now. Hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels now like we couldn't have done it any differently. And it worked because it worked the way it did. I mean, you could probably say stuff like, oh, well, maybe we should have put a fence in or got more trowels in or more kneeling pads or whatever. But actually, I think it was one of those things, it just worked, it just flowed. All right, there were some crazy moments, there were things that didn't exactly go to plan, but it worked. I mean, the machining probably we could have done with a bit more time.
We was fucking useless at that. We started in the completely wrong place. That's something that could have been done better.
Moved along a bit.
Yeah, we could have started, like, if you think about it in hindsight, Sarah,
we'd have started in the
wouldn't it make complete sense just to have started in the corner? Why we started where we did?
Well, I was convinced it didn't go as far as the corner, so I didn't realise the Reno. I thought the Reno kind of spread out a little bit on both sides, but I didn't expect it to go that far. And it wasn't.
No, you're right. No, you're actually nobody did. They're just making it up.
Yeah.
Nobody realised that you actually went under the bookies because on the top you're looking at the bookies.
Yeah.
And it's absolute common sense now that when we went down, we turned left. It had to fucking go that way.
That far, yeah.
But
I think I just underestimated as well how big it was.
How big? I think we all did. Yeah. To be honest, I think.
And somewhere always looks smaller when it's full of people. Yeah. So your memories of it and what it was actually like. But again, it's just one of those things that you kind of think. It didn't work. It worked out in the end. So
Not just that though. We wouldn't have had the great concrete moment. If we'd have started the other end, they wouldn't have had that, oh, there's concrete, I want to kill myself. We're not going to... Yeah.
And we wouldn't have had all the conversations. No, right.
Oh, yeah. It would have been dead obvious. Everything would have been dead obvious.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And actually, the best wall was where we dug. Any of the great photographs is that first wall we found.
Yeah.
You know, with the doorway between.
Yeah.
So... No,
so
I think I don't even mind about the volunteers as well, because I think we had a great amount for us to be a proper little family, all of us, whoever turned up all the time.
It was a good team.
Yeah, and then we'd just have like people who'd come in and then that would be enough.
Yeah.
At the time I didn't think that. I thought, oh, we're never going to do it.
Yeah. But no, I think it did work out in the end.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's one of those things that you can pick holes in anything in hindsight. Oh, I should have done it this way, that way, the other way. But the more and more I think about the Reno is, do you know what? We did it, we got everybody involved, we got everything done that we wanted to do. It was a bit crazy at times, or it was a bit nuts, or something went wrong, or something went right, or whatever. But in the end, it worked out, and everybody who came loved it.
No, absolutely. And then we forgot the celebration night, then there's that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I mean, it got it to that point, and then that was fab.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was brilliant. I'm sorry I couldn't stay all night. I'm impressed Persian managed to get through to like...
He does it regular, Sarah. He does it regular.
Incredible.
I know. At 74.
I know. Good on him.
Well, I have to thank you, lady, because I'll tell you another thing that really, it was pure personality. No, I mean that, because like I said, if it had been someone that was sergeant and couldn't let go, right, it definitely wouldn't have worked out that way. Do you know what I mean? But also, if it had been someone who was too like laid back, you know, it couldn't have worked. She was just enough of both.
Oh,
absolutely, you were a great mix, and I'll always be grateful to you. Always.
No, I've just absolutely loved it. Yeah. It's the craziest dig I've ever done, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And it's something that I would never have expected to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, digging up a 19th century building is not unusual, but digging up the Reno is different, and it's not something I'd ever thought I'd be digging up. And even people that I know are like, you dug up that 1970s club, didn't you? That's mad. It was great. But it was brilliant. So it was fab to do it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
You'd have definitely fitted in the Reno.
That's all right.
Yeah. Have we got out else to say?
I don't think so. No, it was good.
Are you sure?
It was, yeah. One thing I was going to ask you, was totally unrelated. What was the pub around the corner called?
Round the corner?
Yeah.
Or opposite diagonal?
No, everybody kept talking about. There was the Reno and the Nile, and there was something else around the other corner of the Bookies.
Oh, I don't know. The only pub I can think in the vicinity was the Alec pub, which was diagonal.
Maybe it was like a cafe or a coffee shop or something.
That's before my time.
I can't remember. Yeah, I was just.
There was one. There was a cafe, but it's before my time.
Oh, I was thinking because somebody was talking about it. And I was trying to get together for like the report and for other bits and pieces.
Oh, I'll find out for you. I'll find out.
Yeah,
yeah. I know where you mean, but I can't think of what the. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're going. I don't know if Mike tell you we're going full current archaeology, British Archaeology magazine. They're putting a piece in about the Reno.
No, he didn't.
Did he not? Oh, I think he said he told you.
No, did he? He said he was asking, or they were asking.
Oh, yeah, no, they've said.
Oh, when's
so
this?
I'm halfway through writing it.
When was it?
Mike told me about it last week.
And when's it supposed to be going in?
I don't know, I've not finished it yet.
We'll get it in before voting.
Oh, yeah, we'll.
And then you can get votes out of it.
Yeah, I don't know when it'll actually go in the magazine, but yeah, I will do. I'll put it in. When do the votes close?
27th of July.
Oh, right. No, it probably won't go in before then.
Oh.
Well, I'll give it to World. But yeah, I'll send it to you when it comes.
So what are you doing if it's not in the magazine?
It's no, it will be in the magazine. I just don't know how long it takes.
For them to put it through.
To put it in.
They tweeted anyway the other day and voted for us.
Did they?
Yeah,
good stuff. That's all right. Nice.
Thank you, darling.
You're very welcome. No problem.